Justin Long's light, buoyant personality makes him perfect for comedy films, but his career has led him to feature in several horror movies as well. The actor has appeared in more than 60 films, most of which have been light dramas through to outright comedies. His first acting credit is Galaxy Quest, a cult classic from the 90s in which Long was nominated for a Saturn Award. Beyond that, he has appeared in dozens of films in which Long could display his comedic chops, including several Kevin Smith films. From Zack and Miri Make a Porno, to the iconic Dodgeball, Long has put a lasting stamp on the films that make audiences laugh. But it shouldn't be forgotten that his first leading role was in Jeepers Creepers, a horror film so successful it spawned a series of sequels, and he has since appeared in several films that all fall squarely into the category of horror. Long began his comedy career in college, as a member of a sketch comedy group called Laughingstock. Then, after breaking through in Galaxy Quest, Long began starring in some of the most well-known comedies of the past 20 years. In Idiocracy he played the unintelligible Dr. Lexus, funneling the dopey stoner vibe Long always seems to have on standby. In 2006's Accepted, Long makes up his own college and is a suitable lead for an underrated comedy ensemble. Further in his career, Long pops up in light relief cameos, from Funny People to the atrocious movie 43, and he even lent his voice to Alvin Seville in not one but two Alvin and the Chipmunks movies. Suffice it to say, it's a career dominated by inoffensive, often funny films. Maybe that's why Long has also peppered his CV with some truly dark and horrifying material too. Including a brief cameo in Jeepers Creepers 2, Long has appeared in a handful of horror movies. So much so, his horror movie back catalog is starting to catch up with his comedic output, at least in quality, if not quantity. The charismatic actor often brings an initial lightness and sarcastic humor to each appearance, before dipping into a fear that he transposes shockingly well to film. While it's always a welcome surprise to see a comedic actor in a horror film, say Danny McBride in Alien, Covenant or Elizabeth Banks in the movie Brightburn, it's usually a one-off. The novelty makes it intriguing. Justin Long has gone beyond this, proving he can do horror as well as comedy, and turned it from a novelty into a successful addition to his repertoire. So here are all his horror films, ranked from worst to best. Yoga Hosers is a bad film, but it's not really Long's fault. The second film in Kevin Smith's bizarre True North trilogy is an unfunny, low point in Smith's eclectic career and boasts a ludicrous storyline about two yoga-obsessed teenagers and their brush with Canadian Nazis. Starring Lily Rose Depp and Smith's own daughter, Harley Quinn Smith, it was universally panned on release. To his credit, Long provides one of the more humorous scenes as yoga guru, Yogi Bear. His turn as the pretentious guru, while a bit on the nose, one pose is called the pretentious frog, is disarming and fun. While being pitched as a horror comedy, it includes barely any true horror and Long doesn't have much of a chance to dip into the darkness he can do so well. Yoga Hosers is a low entry into his horror career. Ghost Teen not really a horror, and not really a comedy either. It makes this list by virtue of having ghosts in the title and vaguely following the story of amateur ghost hunters, who turn out not to be hunting scary horror movie ghosts at all. A complete misfire filled with actors who've all done better work in far better films. Long plays an obnoxious and annoying security guard who's invited onto the ghost team by John Haters Lewis, who claims to have discovered a haunted house. What follows is a cash grab exercise in ticking off rote character stereotypes and story beats. Once again, Long's horror career won't be judged by this entry. Life After. Life is the first entry with its feet fully in the horror thriller genre and where Long leaves comedy at the door. He plays Paul Coleman, the boyfriend of Anna Taylor, who may or may not be dead. She's played by the brilliant Christina Ricci, who channels some serious Addams Family vibes. This is the central mystery and failing point of an admirable attempt at mediating life and death. Anna has woken up in a funeral home, on an embalming table, as she is being prepped for burial by an enigmatic mortician played with sincerity by Liam Neeson. The film's premise is failed by a refusal to disclose whether Anna is in fact dead, or being made to think she is. The audience is left wondering what they've invested in and what in fact the film is trying to say. Despite this, director Agnieszka Wojtowicz-Vosloo succeeds in building a creeping atmosphere of dread, and Long does good work as the grief-stricken lover, who finds himself in a horrifying situation by the end credits. A running theme that spills over in the following better horror films he's been in. Jeepers Creepers, a horror movie classic. Jeepers Creepers not only introduced us to the iconic Creeper, but launched Long headfirst into the world of horror. The film had a lukewarm reception from critics when it was first released in 2001, but has since developed somewhat of a cult following. And the introductory sequence, where the Creeper runs Patricia, Gina Phillips, and Derry Long off the road in its truck, remains one of the scariest and most threatening moments in modern horror. While the film peters out in the third act, Long gives it his all, portraying true fear in the face of an unknowable horror. His and the film's ending is one that can't be forgotten quickly. Tusk is the first in Kevin Smith's so-called True North trilogy, the second being Yoga Hosers and the third an, as of yet, unmade film called Moose Jaws. It's also Smith's first foray into body horror, and the result is an incredibly difficult to watch, but surprisingly good film. Justin Long plays Wallace Brighton, the host of a podcast who finds himself at the mercy of a deranged man called Howard Howe, played brilliantly by the ever-watchable Michael Parks. Howe is intent on turning Brighton into a walrus and does so, step by step, over 100 grueling minutes. It's horrible, it's uncomfortable and at times, a very tough watch. But within all that lies a twisted comedy, that gives Long a chance to play a character both snarky and fearfully desperate. House of Darkness shows off Long doing what he does best, and what he has done several times throughout this list, playing a smarmy, sarcastic dude, who gets what his character deserves in often rather gruesome ways. While in Kevin Smith's Tusk his crass sense of humor sees him sewed into a walrus suit, in House of Darkness his sleazy, pick-up routine sees him cross paths with a gothic mansion filled with vampires. Director Neil LaBute, best known for the unintentional comedy goldmine that is The Wicker Man, turns the tables on the sordid and shady, nice guy character, in a film that shifts the power balance firmly in the direction of the woman, in this case Mina Kate Bosworth. Long has picked her up after a night out, and it's clear he doesn't simply want to see her home safe. The end result sees him probably wish he had. A rather standard storyline is elevated by charismatic performances from both Long and Bosworth, who ensure the film gets its message across. Creepshow, Night of the Living Late Show. 2019's Creepshow revival was a welcome return to the original anthology classic. It reintroduced audiences to the Creep and the Creepshow comic book episodes, capturing the unsettling but humorous spirit that made the 1982 film so wildly popular. Among the 36 segments, spread over 3 seasons and a special, is a wonderfully nostalgic and terrifying entry called Night of the Living Late Show. It features Long as an inventor who creates a machine that allows the user to enter any film they want. It gives Simon Sherman, Long, the opportunity to converse with horror icons Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, which is about as close to horror royalty as you can get. The end is dastardly cruel and leaves Long's character, once again, wishing he'd been a better person. Barbarian. The recently released Barbarian is terrifying and relentless, putting 3 characters in truly horrible circumstances. A double-booked Airbnb leads Tess Marshall, Georgina Campbell, and Keith Toshko, Bill Skarsgård, to begrudgingly share a property for the night and together make the horrifying discovery of what lies underneath it. The owner of said property is the unlikable A.J. Gilbride, Long, who is facing financial woes after being accused of rape. Long is once again perfectly at home in portraying the sleaze and smarminess of a character the audience is meant to enjoy disliking. Long is adept at turning that sycophantic charm off and dialing up the fear, which he does to great effect in this solid monster movie horror. Drag Me to Hell is Sam Raimi on top form. The eclectic director is most at home with vomiting demons, ghouls, curses, and jump scares. The film follows Christine Brown, Alison Lohman, after she gets cursed by an old Romani woman. The torment she suffers for the next few days allows Sam Raimi to ramp up the Evil Dead ick factor, with vomit, blood, and cat sacrifices. While that all sounds horrendous, the end result is a fun, scary thrill ride that lets Raimi return to the horror comedy genre he created with the Evil Dead trilogy. Long is the hapless boyfriend of Lohman's character, given the unsavory job of watching his girlfriend suffer the consequences of disrespecting Mrs. Sylvia Ganesh, Lorna Raver. Justin Long's classic look of wide-eyed horror, used throughout his horror career, is never more impressive than when he has to watch Christine literally get dragged to hell. The film is an absolute